Kyle or Herm.
Why is that?
Well, they're both in shape. For a while, I mean, simple. At this age, if you're in shape, you got a chance. They're both in great shape. You know, you look. I mean, they're both in shape. They both exercise.
Pac-12 Panic Room plus BYU plus USU plus Weber. There was Mike Leach after his press conference when he was asked who would win in the Pac-12 in a fight. Let's open it up to the Panic Room. Involve BYU, USU, and Weber. Who wins in a fight there?
Whew, that's a good question. I still got to go with Whittingham, though, JP.
Okay.
I got to go with Whit. I just think that he looks like a guy that's been in a few fights maybe before his coaching life at Utah. I would have to go with Whit. I think if push came to shove, he'd be the guy I want to go to bat for in a fight.
Kalani Sitake certainly would be near the end if I'm designing a fight between the Panic Room. I think also Jay Hill might give a little bit of run. I know he may not be somebody that everybody's fearing, but he's on the younger side of coaches, and he would give people a run. Low man wins in a fight.
Yeah, Jay Hill might be a good choice. Maybe a little bit of Matt Wells, the quarterback whisperer up in the Cache Valley, maybe. But he's a quarterback, though. That's the problem. He's not a guy that gets hit. That's the issue with Matt Wells. But give me Whit, though. And that's what I love about Mike Leach, so that they have these conversations, and there's follow-up questions in the media. We need that here locally in these press conferences. I mean, I listen to the sound of Kalani Sitake and Coach Whit. I'm just like, okay, I've heard this. I've heard it. I mean, I want entertaining sound in Week 12 of the college football season. Hey, Mike Leach gives you that, and his team's winning a lot of ball games too.
And if his team wins the Apple Cup, could be threatening for a playoff spot going forward. Now, going forward into these games, Utah and Colorado, the first one that we'll examine here in the Panic Room, I was really shocked with the way that Jason Shelley and Armand Shine filled in basically seamlessly for Tyler Huntley and Zach Moss.
Yeah, that was quite an impressive performance, and I think Utah was a lot more dominant than the score would suggest. They were fantastic. Armand Shine proved why he was at one time the starting running back for Utah. He was really impressive. And Jason Shelley, man, I mean, you can knock his size and whatnot, but I thought he looked really good. And I think, JP, we're going to have a discussion here at Utah. I mean, with everything that's in front of Utah right now, I think we could have like a similar situation maybe. I mean, I know it's one game. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but it could be kind of like Ohio State a few years back.
Wow.
Cardale Jones comes in late, wins over the fan base because of the stages that he's in. Jason Shelley's got that in front of him. He's got a rivalry game. He's got the Pac-12 South title in front of him. The championship game, maybe. I mean, he's got some huge stages to really win over this Utah fan base, and could get Wally pipped, maybe Tyler Huntley, potentially. But again, one game, you don't want to get too carried away, but it was impressive nonetheless because I think Oregon's a really good football team. I remember saying on this show weeks ago that I thought Oregon was legit. I still think they got a promising future ahead of them with Mario Cristobal. I thought that was an impressive performance by Utah, and the November struggles went away. Yogi Roth even hopped on the Bill Riley show and said, I'm relieved that the Ted Robinson Yogi Roth curse is now lifted on the Utes. So, because apparently that was a thing around social media for a while.
Well, Jill Savage, 100% was a curse. She was breaking all the injury news on Tyler Huntley and Zach Moss. It's terrible for Utah when Jill Savage is on the game. On the other side, Colorado. Interesting week when it comes to reports that were out about Mike McIntyre's job status. Will he be the coach at the end of the year for this Colorado team?
A friend gave me this picture, and I love it. It's called, I have it in my office. It's Buffalo walking into a storm. So I'm going to give y'all a little education here. Some of y'all might know this. I know John Wilner knows this because he's extremely bright. But the buffalo is the only animal that walks into the storm. All the rest of them run and try to run away from the storm. And if you walk into the storm, you're going to get through it faster. You strive.
Man, that's a good question. I think if they get to a bowl game, I feel like you got to bring him back. But I just wish I had more insight as to what behind the scenes his relationship with the AD, the school president, because that might be what really sheds light into where this decision's going to go. Because I still think McIntyre's a pretty good guy for that job, and that's a program that's pretty much bankrupt. I mean, the athletic department is in the hole. They don't got much money to spend. So even if they do get rid of McIntyre, they're not going to be this big spender and go maybe get a Matt Campbell at Iowa State. He might be out of their price range. So you would probably go and get an up-and-comer, and is that guy better than McIntyre, who has given you at least some respectability, some competitiveness in a program that was winning, 1-2 games and was a complete laughingstock in the league. I don't know. I think what hurts McIntyre is the fact that he has had a checkered past. I mean, he's had some cover-up issues, just like Urban did at Ohio State. So I think that's something that maybe makes me raise questions about maybe his character or what's going on behind the scenes with his superiors. So, but I think as far as just football, I think you keep him.
When we did the Pac-12 coaching hot seat rankings, Colorado didn't have a great football history post Gary Barnett. In this new millennium, they've just been terrible. 2 bowl games since '05. That's not good enough if you're going to be a top program, and Colorado just isn't. They don't have the want to be good in football. And the fact that Mike McIntyre, in the last 2 years, with the bowl game on the line, 0-8, yeeks.
Yep.
That's where you're starting to think, goodness me, have we made the right decision with Mike McIntyre? But if they have a booster who's going to pony up the money to get rid of Mike McIntyre, then that would be the only situation where I see them doing this. Other than that, I see him really being okay in that job because there's no real want to be good at football.
And I think, too, with the report coming out, what was it, a news station, that was something that made me kind of raise a red flag that how legit is the report. Now, no offense to the news reporters out there, but I'm not usually seeing newscasters in the sports departments at these local news stations breaking news. Just, I don't see it.
Woody Page is at that news station.
Oh,
I
he
looked
is.
that up. Yeah, I looked that up because I was digging, putting the microphone up to these reports, and I found out Woody Page works at that sports department.
So, yeah, because he's no longer at the Denver Post. What was he? He was at Colorado Springs for a little bit.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that makes but I think with this decision, it'll be interesting. I think that, for Colorado, they still even have the Cal game after Utah. So there's still going to be 2 opportunities for them to get to a bowl game. They got to win at least one if McIntyre wants to have a shot. If they're 5-7, then maybe that makes it a little bit easier on the football field side, paired with maybe what's going on off the field with his relationships with his bosses. Maybe then that's ultimately what makes it easy for them to let him go.
They'll be figuring that out. But looking at the game that concerns Utah fans, ASU against Oregon out there in Eugene, this game, if I see the same Oregon team that I saw at Rice-Eccles Stadium on Saturday night, I have no confidence that they will win this game. I've got ASU in this one.
Yeah, and Oregon's favored, though. The wise guys are saying Oregon now.
I know.
That's just because they're at home in Autzen, but what's Oregon playing for? I mean, Washington State eliminated them last week during the Utah game as far as Pac-12 North contention. So Oregon's really just playing for maybe jockeying for bowl positioning, maybe getting into a better Holiday Bowl or an Alamo Bowl, maybe. I don't know. But, I mean, so what's the motivation factor there for Oregon? I think Arizona State gets it done. I'm with you. I always kind of feel leery of going all in on ASU because they've just been a program that when there is expectations, they'll let you down. Yeah. But I think that Manny Wilkins, N'Keal Harry, what they've been doing the past few weeks, I don't think it's a fluke. I think they're going to get it done on the road.
And Eno Benjamin's certainly going to run through that Oregon defense. He showed it against Utah, of all teams. If he can run through Utah, he can run through this Oregon team. Washington State in the north, they're taking on Arizona. If they do a good deed for the Utes, beating Arizona would be one thing for Utah. But really, they're just going to continue to roll, I think, even though Arizona is starting to figure it out offensively.
Yeah, it's been quite a turnaround for Arizona. I think from where they were against Utah to now, quite an improvement. So credit to Kevin Sumlin for kind of getting things back on track a bit and maybe build some momentum going into the bowl season if they can get bowl eligible and then going into the offseason as well. But yeah, I think Washington State cruises to a victory here in this one. I love what I'm seeing from Wazoo. It's a shame that they had such a weak non-conference schedule because they're just, it feels like a long shot at best, JP.
It's true.
For them to get into the playoff. I mean, they're sitting in the 8th spot right now. They can't leapfrog LSU, who got dominated by Alabama, but who doesn't get dominated by Alabama. It just feels like a long shot right now for Wazoo. But hey, keep winning, and then let's make the committee make a decision here because a lot of football is still to be played. Just feels like a long shot right now for Wazoo.
It's weird because at the bottom, the committee is showing respect to a team like Utah who jumps right back into the rankings. But then at the top, nobody's moving in the top 10. It's strange.
We're seeing outside of the top 10 teams, there's just, I mean, this is the record in terms of AP poll movement for most AP ranked teams since the inception of the poll when it went to 25 teams from 20. So you've just been seeing from 10 to 25 in all the polls, just every week it's a new 7 teams coming into the poll every single week, and I think it shows the parity that we see in college football this year.
That's why you got to look at the Pac-12 power poll plus BYU plus USU plus Weber as the only poll that you
Yes,
rely
the power.
on Gunther and Ben. The power of the poll. Okay for us to move on to the Apple Cup as UW has Oregon State this week completely?
Oh, yeah, completely. I mean, Washington's going to roll through Oregon State. Oregon State, though, good for them. They got a huge win weeks ago against Colorado. There's been some moments of success for Jonathan Smith, but yeah, Washington's going to cruise, and it's going to set up a big Apple Cup.
Apple Cup next week. We'll be bringing that preview on the next edition of the Panic Room. Game in LA. This one has a lot of job speculation abound because USC is taking on UCLA at the Rose Bowl, and Clay Helton had to address his job status during his weekly availability.
Yeah, this is a big game. I mean, 5-5 USC. They got to win one game to get to bowl eligibility. There won't be any exceptions made for them. You know, the Pac-12's new role with bowl eligibility. You can't get in as a 5-7 team in the Pac-12 conference to a bowl. So this is huge. They got to win this game because they're not going to beat Notre Dame to end the year. So they got to win this one. And part of me thinks UCLA is going to get it done. I just think this USC team, I think JT Daniels, I don't know, for whatever reason, JP, I was very high on JT Daniels coming to the year, but he just continues to make a lot of mistakes. And that offense in the second half against Cal was really terrible. I mean, Cal's a good defense, but still, you're at home in the Coliseum, and Helton gets booed off walking into the tunnel. Things just aren't good right now at USC. And, I mean, it seems like the easy fix, the easy answer is to say fire Helton, but, man, he's locked up to 2023. He signed that extension this past spring. It just feels wrong to think USC, with all their talent, is just this average. 5-5, eliminated from Pac-12 South contention already. They have nothing to play for other than, maybe getting to a pointless bowl, but I don't think that's going to matter. I think the fan base almost wants them to lose so they can get rid of Helton. I think UCLA gets it done.
Well, and you look at the way that Clay Helton came in. He came in under the rug with Pat Hayden on the outs because he was taking money from the department. Mm-hmm. He gets the job when really Pat Hayden should have no business hiring a head coach. Helton gets the job, and now you look where they've been. If one booster, they just need one booster to pony up and pay that money for Clay Helton, something that can really happen at USC, he's gone. And right now, Dan Weber phrased this on USCFootball.com. The good thing about USC, you have two opportunities to save your job because you get rivals at the end, UCLA and Notre Dame. UCLA would be the game to win.
Yeah, this has got to be the game that they got to win, and you just wonder what could have been for USC had they hired Ed Orgeron.
Exactly.
Orgeron's doing really good job at LSU. I mean, LSU was expected to be kind of a 6-6 football team. They're in the top 10. They're number 7 right now in the college football playoff. You wonder what would have been, because Orgeron, I mean, he turned that one season around as the interim head coach. Unique dynamic in Troy because they just tried to recapture that Pete Carroll glory. They just got to let that go. You wonder what's Lynn Swann thinking? We don't hear from him at all. It's a private institution. You just wonder what's going through their minds right now. Are they all in to really get back to a national level and really be on par with the likes of Ohio State and Alabama? And I mean, they should really be in that upper echelon. It's shocking to think that they are just an average football team with all the talent they have. It's really mind-blowing.
Ed Orgeron's smart enough not to offer Kyle Gunther out of high school.
That's right.
When he visited old Camarillo High School. Good for Ed O. Not doing that. Looking at the final game on the Pac-12 Panic Room, BYU against New Mexico State. This game, BYU is heavily favored, so I'm just going to ask you, what is this senior class meant to BYU and what they've done over the last couple of years in independence?
It's tough to say, JP, because really this is the group that has been, the losing season. I mean, 4-9 was a real black mark on the program. They've had some ups and downs this year. Haven't had many bad losses. Maybe NIU, but I think that NIU team's pretty decent. I mean, they're probably going to win their division in the MAC, but I think I would coin them as, just if I was to use a word, inconsistent. You've seen Corbin Kaufusi have moments of brilliance, but then other games he's non-existent. Same with Sione Takitaki. Austin Hoyt, a guy that could be an NFL offensive lineman. Some games he's completely dominated. Others he's not giving up any sacks against a Wisconsin defensive line. So I think that inconsistent to me is how I look at the senior class. It'll be interesting to see if Tanner Mangum gets in the game at all. I think they'll have opportunities because I think BYU is going to roll, kind of like they did against Hawaii in Zach Wilson's first start. I think this will be a very aggressive attack. I think BYU, for once, jumps out to an early start and really cruises. this one. They get to bowl eligibility, though. I think that's the thing, is that was the goal, I thought, going into the season, was get to bowl eligibility. You got that in front of you, and then you just can't afford to let this team hang around this New Mexico State team and then possibly get upset, because then we talk about Clay Helen and jobs in line, and Kalani Sitake.
Yeah, you're right.
His seat will be cooking if they were to somehow lose this game. But I don't think they will. I think they win in easy cruise to an easy win.
And they got the job done last week against UMass, albeit unimpressive. They
Yep.
got the job done in the next week. Oh, the Panic Room is going to be ready for
Yes.
this one. Oh, the holy war is upon us next week. I know
Already.
they don't want us to use that phrase, but still, we're going to use it.
Absolutely.
And BYU Utah coming up next weekend. We'll be able to preview it for you. Just a quick look ahead, just like Dirk Facer did in the Kai Whittingham press conference. What do you expect coming up next Saturday?
I expect a fun atmosphere once again. It's going to be a late night kick. I expect the Utah fans to be warm because of the tailgate lot. Will keep them warm. Their bodies will be very warm. I think that it'll be a somewhat of a competitive football game for at least the first half. I just wonder, though, if BYU can keep up, though. I just think that Utah, this is the year. If Utah wants a year to just really blow the doors off of BYU, this is the year to do it, because Whittingham, he's not going to rest his starters. Get that narrative out of here. They're not going to rest the starters, but it is a unique dynamic, because if they really want to just get those guys out in the second half, this is the year to possibly dump truck BYU.
We'll see, and we'll be able to put all the chips on the table. What kind of chips? Potato chips?
What chips are those? Poker chips? Potato chips? What? Chocolate chips. Okay, gotcha.
Looking forward for next week here on the Pac-12 Panic Room. Plus BYU, plus USU, plus Weber. For Mitch Harper, I'm JP Chunga. Until next time, bye for now.